There we go. We are in. It is. We are here. Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the AWE podcast. There is the double biceps just for you. It is in the contract. It needs to happen every single time we appear on camera. It is in the fine print. It was very small. I didn't see it when I signed it, but now we must do it every single time that we appear on camera. It's definitely not something that I made up. Definitely not at all to show off the biceps that I have been working on for 22 years in the gym.
Nothing to do with
Nothing like that whatsoever. The man to my left, but to your right, it is in fact the co-pilot, the co-founder, the co-wearer of clothes, the co-breather of air in this very room. It is in fact the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Cristo. It is the Master of Disaster. I'm confusing myself here. I almost said the Count of Master of Disaster. The Count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. There it is there, the illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is none other than your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome, Hollywood McConnelly. It's been another massive week in the world of arm wrestling. A lot of big news coming up from the headquarters at AWE.
That's right.
And there's no bigger news than Mazahir Saidu, King of India, King of Dubai, King of Hearts, up against Ryan Bowen in India on the streets of New Delhi. So now you're going off on the trip. You're packing your bags and heading over for the big journey to the subcontinent. So quite an iconic journey in the annals of Australian sporting history, and one that Australian arm wrestling is about to embark upon for perhaps the very first time at this professional level in the sport. So very exciting for you to be a part of history in this trip, and also exciting for the world of arm wrestling. So for those that aren't familiar, Pro Punja League had 34 million unique viewers to their finals, of which Mazahir, of course, walked away the number one gun in India as part of the Pro Punja League, and Ryan Blue Bowen is about to parachute his way into this arm wrestler's paradise onto the streets of New Delhi to hopefully take the crown from the King of India, and perhaps will you be there as part of the coronation if indeed Ryan does win? Is there I don't know.
To bestow the crown upon his head.
Yes. At that point that he wins. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with that one.
Yeah, exciting. It is exciting. We are going over there. November the 11th is when we're doing the actual match. Originally, we talked about doing it October 29th, I think, which is the weekend after we do all the matches in Brisbane. But speaking to Pravin, who runs Pro Punja over in India, he said, look, if you wait till the 11th, because there's this massive festival that's happening, and there'll be, a whole massive stack of people that'll be really out celebrating. It'll be, way better. And he said, plus I'll be able to actually attend because that date is so much better than the other date where I can't go. So, yeah, so it should be amazing. I've never been to India before. I don't really know what to expect. It should be exciting. I'm a little bit nervous about eating or drinking anything. I'm just like, man, maybe I'm like...
Can you survive on Pringles for a week? This is the question that needs to be asked.
Right.
And perhaps if anybody out there watching has any tips for Matt as he heads over to maybe more dubious menus and selections. So you perhaps share some of the backstory here. So, of course, we had Mazahir Saidu booked to come to Australia. That isn't happening. We couldn't get the visa through on time. It was part of what led to us saying, let's dismantle this AWE3 concept. Let's go underground with it. Let's take the matches wherever we can get them. And let's be opportunistic and strike where the iron's hot. And so Mazahir was still up for a match. Ryan had been peaking for AWE3 and really wanted to test himself against Mazahir. He was very focused in on this matchup, and so obviously really disappointed initially when it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But then the cogs started turning, and the thoughts turned to, well, if perhaps Mazahir can't come here, maybe Ryan can go to India, and Ryan's super excited about that. And calls were made over to our Pro Puncher friends, and before you know it, we've got a date. It's the 10th of November.
11th.
Oh, okay. I've seen Pro Puncher release that it's the 10th.
Well,
is that incorrect?
that is.
Okay. So there's conflicting promo information, but of course that's why you tune into the AWE podcast to get it from the source. So the 11th of November, which is Remembrance Day, which should be pretty.
It's a Saturday. Yeah, we're not going to be in there though.
Okay, so it's definitely not going to be the 10th of November. So just ignore that promo that you may not have already seen. But 11th of November in New Delhi, and where these two great athletes are going to confront each other across the table. So stylistically, how do you see this matchup?
Yeah, it's an exciting match, and especially in that frame of what we were just talking about then. I mean, going to another country, Australia, always obviously being on completely the other side of the world to Europe and North America and all the rest of it. Whenever they've competed, our guys have competed in the elite promotions that are based over there. Travel is a big factor, and the fact that you've got to sit in a plane for almost 2 days before you actually get there, and then you still got to take the taxis and the hotel, and you're completely in foreign,
sleeping in a strange bed, eating weird food sometimes. Yeah,
that's right. You might have been awake for 24 plus hours, because of flight differences. Now all of a sudden it's nighttime instead of daytime. So those elements do play into it, and we did see some of that potentially take place when we brought a lot of the Americans here for AWE too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so flying to India, obviously, it's not as much of a travel, but it is still a significant flight. I mean, it is a foreign country. So whether or not that will affect Ryan's performance or not, I mean, it is. We've never been there. We don't know what to expect. We don't know exactly how it's going to play out. We're looking at doing it in an open public area so that people can gather around and watch at the same time. All of those elements, may have some sort of impact on Mazahir's and Ryan's performance. I mean, if you're standing there and you've got 10,000 people crowding in around you, if there's a big festival, I mean, it's sort of people just sort of wander over, and you're in the middle of it. It may affect somebody's ability, might help them, it might be a detriment to them as well.
Yeah,
but both
they've
guys
been pickpocketed halfway through round. Maybe that'll be a distraction. We don't know.
It won't be
all
a distraction.
All these kind of street distractions going on.
Oh, that's right.
Somebody trying to barter with you.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't need that. But thank you.
I'll give you +1 to your top roll. I'll tickle Massey here for 50 rupees. Yeah, but in terms of their ability, they're both very, very good arm wrestlers. Have competed at the highest levels, and I think Ryan is the favorite, not a super heavy favorite. It's not like a squash match or anything like that. Mazahir definitely has his ways that he can win this match, but
what are Mazahir's pathways? What do you think?
Anytime,
a lot has been spoken about his back pressure. But perhaps that's the ace.
Yeah, well, yeah, but in saying that, Ryan, so I think Mazahir said he most recently was about 116. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah, and then Ryan put up recently was 110. So the weight difference isn't going to be as significant as it was where maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when Ryan was weighing in. I think it maybe before the Coach Ray match, he was sitting around 98 or 100, something like that, and he dropped way down to whatever
46 kilos.
46 kilos. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The lightest we've seen him.
It was a really bad weight cut too.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
A lot of water.
He has no legs no more. Yeah. But also water.
And reattach them.
That's right. Yeah, they grow back. But so the weight might not be as much of a significant factor, but whenever you're going up against Ryan Bowen, you've got to consider the fact that he's gone all in on hand and wrist for the last 10 years. So his hand and wrist control is very much like iron. The way you're going to be able to combat that, it's going to be some other method apart from just trying to kick his wrist back, because it's more than likely not going to work. The way we saw him in his most recent loss, which was against Matawarengi Hedda Morris, obviously a giant man, but Matawaringi with his surge, if you watch that match back, at no point does Ryan's hand or wrist get open. He
Compromised,
doesn't lose his position or his pronation. He just gets sort of outweighed, and it was like it was that back pressure that Matawaringi was able to utilize to bring Ryan's arm down. It was almost like the bicep was the weaker point compared to the hand and wrist. So yeah, that back pressure will be significantly important for Mazahir if he wants to utilize that and continue to. You'd almost have to be like, okay, I cannot bust this guy's wrist back. What are my other options to victory here? And if he's looking at through Ryan's matches and match history, it's like, okay, well, what have other people done to get around that? And it really does rely on, if you can let somebody have that position, but you can still pin their arm through putting the pressure straight through their bicep, and maybe it is through back pressure that he is going to have to go all in on.
Yeah. Do you think that? So Ryan's also had another big match announced. So with Arm Gods, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland with Ron Barth. So massive matchup. Some might say that, when you've got a big match like that and it's on the horizon and you've got a big match before you, just the news and the excitement and the adrenaline dump of knowing, okay, well, I've got this big match on the other side of that can sometimes interrupt your preparation. Do you think Ryan's susceptible to any of that at all as he comes into this big match with Mazahir?
I think he thrives on it. I think the fact that he needs a match, he needs a reason to be able to train, and especially when you've got a specific opponent in mind, and it's like, okay, this is Mazahir, that's who I'm working towards at the moment. But to know that you've also got future opportunities, it's going to continue your motivation. It's like, well, people in the world want to see me arm wrestle, and they want to give me these big opportunities. I've lined 2 of them up. One's going to be in November the 11th, and then we've got St. Patrick's Day against Ron Barth straight after that.
Yeah, well, in March. I think.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So
there's plenty of time for him to reset, regardless of a win or a loss, and get focused on Ron Barth. He's got plenty of time. He's got a good camp lead up.
But if you've got that motivation and you know that you need to go to the gym, you need to go and have those table time sessions, because you literally have a big match and the world's going to be watching. With the arm wrestling world is going to be watching that, and they want to see how you perform. It's very motivating to continue to do that. And you hear that, we do the Daily Combat podcast as well, where we talk to MMA fighters, and I've heard several of them say that, when they couldn't get a fight for a year because of COVID and because of other things, and people with their opponents would play, and they felt like retiring because it was like, I'm putting in all this effort and there's no challenge that I get to meet or overcome. And it's hard to keep motivating yourself to be pushing yourself to those next levels if you haven't got an opponent, you haven't got a match coming up, you haven't got a tournament coming up. So for Ryan, I can see that this is more of a motivating factor than a detriment.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting time as for Ryan at the moment to think, like a few months ago, there was all this kind of pushback and all this controversy with Engen and talk. Will we ever see Ryan on an East versus West stage, or what? All of this type of thing is Ryan's career over. Will his opportunities dry up? And then you see, well, he's against the biggest name in Indian arm wrestling, the most watched arm wrestler in the world, is his next match, and then after that, it's arm wrestling legend Ron Barth in the Arm Gods cauldron. There on St. Patrick's Day. So in Ireland, which is just 2 remarkable matchups. These are arm wrestling events people will remember for years to come. So so this is very, very exciting. Kyle Davison, late night podcast. Yes, we're staying up. It's 8:30 now. Do we get any sexy Hollywood gossip? Well, you'd have to ask Matthew here. Maybe some Dave Stockbridge firefighter posters. Why so late? We actually we had a podcast a little bit earlier, and it just ran through a little bit later than what we ordinarily podcast, and also our working schedules, are such that sometimes getting it away nice and early isn't possible. So, and from what we understand, this is a bit better time for our friends overseas as well. It's a little bit. It's not 3 o'clock in the morning, for instance.
I think it actually is.
Oh, is it really? Oh, maybe it's worse for you.
The Drew said.
The Drew's got it in here. It is 3 a.m. Okay, there you go. He is going to bed. So sorry, Drew. Sorry for that. As it turns out, worst time for you. So Ryan for the win. Thank you very much, James. All in India and Ireland. Well,
Wow.
Great support there from the great James Wall. So
James Wall, one of the staples in the Armed Gods world,
yeah,
and with a recent victory as well.
he's there in the pantheon of armed gods. If you look very, very closely in the background,
Absolutely,
it's just his image always constantly is just superimposed into the background.
Yeah, you talk about anybody who's very, very committed to arm wrestling and getting everything as strong as it possibly can. You look no further than James Wall. That man trains incredibly hard. And one of the other things that's very, very interesting about him is he has as many matches as he possibly can. He's pulling in tournaments and pulling in events constantly. And the week before another, and there's match. And it's probably the best way to learn quickly is by having as many matches as you possibly can. So big supporter of James Wall and what he's doing, and he is doing fantastic things at the moment. So good on you.
Yeah, don't get worn out though, James. We don't want that. Pace yourself. You've got a whole career ahead of yourself. Plenty of Armed Gods
He's
events
doing
still
very well. Yeah, absolutely. Well, good to we'll be over there, and we'll hopefully meet the man in person when we go over to Ireland and next year in March for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be on the card. He seems to be on most of the Armed Gods cards, and deservedly so.
If not, he'll just be arm wrestling in the corner by the sounds of things, challenging anybody who walks in the door.
Anybody who wins on the card, they have to go over to
James.
against James.
They're just pre-qualifiers.
That's right. It's the real matches over in the corner. It's just James over there with a singer. Franz McGee, one of the local SA Titans members, says it's better in Australia because kids are in bed and I can actually listen. Well, there you go. That's great. That's France. You might remember France from a couple of podcasts ago. She jumped on and yeah, it was great. It was good. And Paul Maiden called her a lesbian.
Yes. I think he did.
The brick wall, James Wall. That's the one. Absolutely. There we go. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. You're coming along. Yes. And I believe the man sitting to my left, but to your right, may be coming along as well. I hope that all three of us will be there in person.
Yep.
I've got RBJ. There you go. It's already been announced.
Oh, that's exciting times.
There
some
you go.
Great matchups. Some big announcements coming out of the Armed Gods world.
Yeah, for sure.
So they've got it's all locked and loaded. So St. Patrick's Day. So I mean they own that now. There's no one's going to put on an event anywhere near St. Patrick's Day
in Ireland.
In Ireland, they've got they're well out in front of that one, and and stacked card. I think there's 378 matches on that night. So there's well, when they're all pre-qualifiers for James Wall. So I mean, there's actually only half that amount that we've got to go over.
It's the James Wall Open.
Yeah, afterwards.
That's right.
If you beat James, you get a pint.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
And if you don't, you got to buy him a pint. Right. So that's how it works.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you got a bit more of a chance to win later in the night.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's a massive card. It's a massive card. So
absolutely,
maybe put aside the day after St. Patrick's Day for the pay per view. So just
the day after that too.
The day after that. Yeah. So James Wall versus RVJ, St. Patrick's Day, Ireland. That's what you want.
Giant hand, RBJ. I don't know if you've seen his hands are massive.
Huge. I've just seen him just crush apples by looking at them. It's just amazing.
There you go. Absolutely. Franz McGee.
Big fan of Ryan Bowen as well.
That's right. He did call you a cock and a frock. Yeah, that's great. Made for a classic.
No, I think that was the question. Are you a cock and a frock?
Oh.
I don't think he called you that.
Yeah.
You might have just been inquiring as to whether you.
It's a good question to ask people.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's fantastic. James doesn't drink beer; he drinks petrol. There you go. That's the secret. Yes, yeah. Is Ryan and Ron the headliner for that one?
I believe so. I can't imagine there'd be a bigger match in the world going on St. Patrick's Day if there's Ron Barth and Ryan Bowen in the ring. But I mean, when you've got James Wall and RBJ and a stacked card as they're putting together, it who knows? There could be several main events for Armed Gods. So, although I think in the ascendancy that the matches were announced, I heard all of the announcements, but then there was a delay to find out what the major and in knowing what their major announcement was, I didn't bother hanging around for the rest of the podcast. I just let Paul go for the next hour and a half and checked in later. Just
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, the Fox Staples says it's Ryan,
RB versus RB.
RB versus RB. I think RB will be the favourite in that.
And I think whoever loses should relinquish their initials.
Yes,
and never use them ever again.
that's right. Well, it's sort of like at AWE2 that the production crew wrote Ryan Bowen
Bowen
instead of Ryan Bowen.
Bowen, yes.
Although he did win 4-0, so maybe Ryan Bowen is much better.
Yes, but it's still leave him an RB, and this is, I think, there's only room in arm wrestling for one RB, and so we'll see who's de-initialed after Arm Gods.
That's right, absolutely. Ruben Jennings, please add elbow to fingertip length for competitors' measurements. Yeah, well, Ruben, you have a giant hand as well. Ruben is one of the guys. I think he's in Queensland. He's based in Queensland.
Good to see you next week.
Yes, did very well this year in his tournament performances that I saw him throughout. He did pop down to the Adelaide Titans to pick up a car.
It literally just came. One of the guys had a car that needed moving, so he just picked it up.
And it wasn't in Adelaide. It was like way out in the country somewhere. I don't know. It was a special car.
It was in a different country.
They had to drive it back to Queensland, and I'm like, I said, have you looked at it? Had anyone look at it? No, I hope that it's all right. I hope it's the one I want.
So the test drive was on the way back to Queensland.
It was.
Excellent. Well, did you you obviously got there. Hopefully you got there in the same car.
I think he did. I think it was all that he wanted.
Oh, excellent. Very, very good. But he does want to know. The elbow to fingertip measurements.
Yeah, well, probably because he's
the one area he can.
Yeah, that's right.
That's one thing.
This is my thing. I need you to add that in.
Yeah.
We've got New Zealand's bench press champion and a man who hasn't lost over there in over 10 years.
Yeah,
Matawarengi Hedda Morris, who was in AWE 1 and of course AWE 2 in a super incredible match against Todzilla Hutchings that was one for the ages. If you go back and see that match, that was absolutely incredible.
That was super intense.
And anybody that thought that was going to be a walkthrough for Todzilla, well, go and have a look at that match and see how hard Todd was working against Matawarengi. Because
yeah, world class, and the beast. I just noticed on Instagram today, just casually repping out 180 kilos. I think that was his warm-up weight, and just for fun. And then I see Lachlan Adair, like boastfully putting on that he's benching 140 for a few. Like, oh, Lachlan, put it away, mate. Put it away. But we actually at the top of this podcast, we did mention your matchup with Marcus Itirai. So that is going to be our number 2 match to be released as part of AWE Underground. So this matchup will be filmed here in Australia, in beautiful Brisbane, in just a matter of a week or so now. So we're edging ever closer to filming date, which is the 21st of October, and really, really looking forward to seeing this. This would be, well, the biggest matchup in arm wrestling in 2023. Over 770 pounds of human being coming together across the table with 2 immense athletes of huge, just not muscularity, but huge potential. And it's still very early days in the sport. Both of these young men, it's actually quite remarkable that we're now in 2023 and world-class athletes of this caliber are now choosing arm wrestling as their sport, as their professional sporting pathway. It's a real blessing to arm wrestling that we've got the athletes of this caliber coming over to our sport. But it's just for lovers of the sport to see these guys come together. Well, you're not going to see it anywhere else but AWE. This is going to be the biggest matchup of 2023. And both young men fighting to establish who it is that will now contest the AWE heavyweight title at some point. We're trying to isolate who that number 1 contender is. And of course, Matawarengi having lost at AWE 2, but having picked up the Intercontinental title at AWE 1. Of course, there's some questions there about, okay, well, where does he sit in the mix of things? He's taken out Ryan Bowen. What's his next step? Is that going to be competing with Gunter's for the heavyweight title. But before we get there, we've got somebody who's just walked away from the table with Gunter's, and that's Marcus Atirai, and went toe to toe. It came down to the wire in the end, and with Gunter's narrowly escaping with his title, and Marcus Atirai elevating himself to one of the highest points of his career thus far, and so setting himself up for this matchup, and which both athletes are keen for, and fans of arm wrestling shouldn't be able to resist. I mean, this in itself is really what this is what gets us really excited, is when you see these two athletes, and we think, look, this could just be on a free to wear event, for instance, and it's all come and gone in 15 minutes or so. But there's so much to this matchup that there's such a story that needs to be told, and there's a way that people should be able to appreciate this matchup for what it really is. And that's what excites me about what we're doing with AWE Underground, in terms of sharing those stories and making sure that if you're just a casual observer of arm wrestling, by the time that you come to sit down to watch that match, you've got a favorite. You're vested in one of the athletes and one of the characters, and you're cheering for somebody by the time you're sitting down and watching that match, even if you know nothing about arm wrestling. And if you're already an arm wrestling fan, we want to deepen your love of these athletes on all levels, so that you support them, whether they're on AWE or find themselves on King of the Table or wherever they go around the world. So first and foremost, we want you to be massive fans of the athletes. And for us, it's exciting to be able to, share some of that story.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This thing, when you walk into a room and there's somebody like Matawaringi sitting there, it's just like, it garners attention, and it's like, imagine that dude arm wrestling somebody. It's like, oh, it's insane. But Marcus Atirai is the exact same. And it's like, they're both very similar in weight, at over 170 kilos, both giant men. And it's like, oh, they're going to go against each other. Oh my God. It's Clash of the Titans. It is, the two biggest men in arm wrestling going at it. It's absolutely insane. And this is something I want to see without a doubt as a fan.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Marcus is, Matawaringi, like I say, hasn't been beaten in 10 years in New Zealand. He certainly, he set the benchmark there, and he's New Zealand's elite arm wrestler. So he's New Zealand's representative. He's flying the flag wherever he goes, whether it's King of the Table or any of the biggest stages in the world. Matawaringi deserves his spot amongst those athletes. There's no doubt. Marcus Atirai, though, he's a newer player. So, he's got a BJJ background, an MMA background. He holds several Australian titles for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's very familiar with the cage, and but is relatively new to arm wrestling, but has really dedicated himself over the last couple of years. And every time you see him on the table, you can see that there's a marked improvement. And to the extent where, when he came into AWE 1, I think our bearings as to where Marcus was sitting were completely out in the way that he demolished Lachlan Carpenter and Adam Laura on the same day, and secondly with Lachlan Carpenter in quite an impromptu way, after having already beaten a top 10 super heavyweight with ease in Adam Laura, who then returned to the table to take on Lachlan Carpenter, and not as easy a match, but nonetheless, he just won a super match only a matter of an hour or so before. So there he was on the table, and went through Lachlan Carpenter in the most unexpected of ways, and really stamped his authority over that super heavyweight division. And all of a sudden, it was his arrival. Everybody knew that Marcus Atirai was now serious about arm wrestling, and everybody else better watch out.
Yeah, absolutely. When you got somebody of that size, that magnitude, that that power.
That's now developing that IQ as well. You know,
Absolutely, yeah, and his technique, and he's smart. He's incredibly adept at strategy on the table. He's bringing in different moves and ideas, and you can see him setting traps and and countering people's styles. And he's really obviously studied what his opponent is good at, what he can do to counter that, and then what he does and executes in the match, and adapting to what the opponent is doing. Yeah, I think he's got a very bright future in the world of arm wrestling. And yeah, for a perfect example of that, look no further than his match with Gunter Spykovs for the heavyweight title at AWE2. What a fantastic representation of the strategy and different techniques that are all available for a puller in arm wrestling. Both guys with a depth of knowledge and utilizing and drawing on everything that they've done and experienced on the table to have to figure out what the other guy's doing round by round, because it was like the change would happen from one person and they would win, and then it's like the counter would happen, and then the
it's like the block.
How do I stop the counter? And
yeah,
it was such a
it's like a game of chess.
It was, and seeing it play out in real time was just something else. It was absolutely incredible, and the way that Marcus pinned Adam Laura in the first round, AWE 1, I think we said it was the hardest we've seen anybody get pinned ever. He just slammed Adam's hand, almost went through the table. It was like, oh my God. So yes, what a amazing athlete, and to him and Matawarengi to go up against each other. I mean, this is going to be next level.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because you see a 170 kilo athlete and you think, oh, it's all just brute strength. But when you see them applying the technical aspects of the sport, and you can see that they're students of the sport, and they understand where they need to be, where they need their hand to be, where they need their wrist to be, what they understand what their opponent's trying to do to them, and they're trying to either counter that or keep out of their strengths. And you as you say, you see that play out in real time, and you understand like that time that Marcus has spent on the mats, for instance, the grappling and understanding leverage points and understanding how to keep moving. All of that is transferred over onto the table for him. And you see in Matawarengi, his evolution over the last couple of years. There's obviously that time during COVID where hard to compete, hard to get out of the country, opportunities to compete with few and far between. But since you see every time that he steps onto the table again, there's a new level being revealed. You can see that there's been all the work that goes into the gym is only half of what you see. So only half of what's going on. The reality is that there's a whole bunch of table time. There's a whole bunch of time spent on those weaker points that level up an athlete like Matawarengi, the Beast Head Morris, who is strong. He's superhuman in that respect. But it's really okay. Well, he's now working on those little weaker points that maybe it's the wrist, maybe it's the hand, maybe it's endurance, and those are he's working on the chinks in his armor. And every time you see him come back, you say, oh well, he's plugged that gap.
Yes.
All of a sudden, all right, well, he's edged a little bit closer to world class.
Yeah.
So we're seeing both of these young athletes evolve so quickly that it's hard to know which way this one will go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's very hard to pick a favorite. I think if you're a betting man, if you're setting the odds, you would go with Matawarengi as the favorite based on the world experience. But if you are in the know and both pullers and you've seen both of them in person, it's I don't know, 50-50.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Beast, as you say, it should come in as a very heavy favorite. He's got that experience on internationally. Although he is the athlete doing the most traveling on this occasion, because I think we're actually holding this in Marcus's gym.
Yeah, we are. So we have to walk out to his backyard.
To go out the back. So Matawarengi does have to travel in this case, but from New Zealand, he's kind of got the hang of that. He understands how to prepare in that situation. He's going to come in strong, but I also feel like he definitely has the edge, and he's the man to beat in this situation. He's had more big events and understands how to even just understanding how to apply yourself under the bright lights and on the big stages when the world's watching. there's a lot to be said for that when you're talking about the pointy end of the competitive world.
Absolutely. It's going to be incredible. The first release of AWE Underground will be the Ryan Bowen and Masahiro Saito match, and then following that, we'll follow that up with Marcus Satirai and Matawaringi Hidden Morris, which will be absolutely incredible. We've got a whole bunch of matches we are filming on the same day, which are also incredible and interesting, and we'll have a week to week time to build those matches and show people why it's going to be incredible, and build the characters and the people around Australia and the people around the world that we really want to see. We'll be able to build a whole week's worth of promotion. Then you get to watch the match every Friday or Saturday night or whenever we decide to put it. But yeah,
Tuesday morning.
So
but the idea is but the idea is to release this on a weekend, so people have got a Friday night fight to look forward to. Coming to you from AWE, it'll be one of our matchups. But the big two that'll be rolling out first and foremost, Masahiro Saito versus Ryan Bowen, which you'll be able to catch on Ryan's channel. So that'll be free to air. You can just jump on and get it. And of course, the second match is also free. So we're taking down the paywall. We're just delivering the best matches that we can find and put on, and giving it to the world for free.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah. So it'll be on Ryan's channel as well as the AWE channel and the AWEarmwrestling.com website.
On the website. Oh, yes.
That's right.
And don't forget that AWE Arm Wrestling website. It is there, and you can find out all the information about the pullers and a whole bunch of extra info and things that we've got coming up, and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So definitely stay tuned. And if you do sign up to the newsletter, definitely do that, because we'll send you a little email every now and again, just keeping you up to date with all things going on in the AWE world.
So on the website, I went through, I added AWE 1 and 2. All of the matches are there. You get the description of the match, and then the match
videos. This is news to me.
Right,
this is exciting.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, if you click on the AWE 1, for example, in the website, it will bring up the whole card, and then you can watch every single one of the matches. It's right there. It's already loaded. So you click and away you go. And that's the same for AWE 2 as well. And then on every fighter, every puller bio, I've written a description, and we've added in all sorts of stats and interesting aspects to them as well. So yeah, there's a lot to find out. And if you're sort of like, oh well, from what you guys are saying about this Matawaringi, where can I find out more information? Go and check out the AWE armwrestling.com website, and you can click on his name there, and you'll see his match history, and what a bio that sort of explains what this guy's all about. So yeah.
Very, very cool. And of course, some of these two matchups we're sharing with you right now are, some of the bigger names in the AWE world, but we've also got some names out there that you might have heard of competing against maybe some athletes that you might not know so much about. So we've got Jamie Barrett, young Jamie Barrett, for instance, will be appearing this season, certainly between now and Christmas, and he's competing against SK, young South Korean, and it's SK not for South Korea, by the way, but it's SK.
It's a Kyong something.
Kyong, yep. We don't want to get that wrong and upset anybody, especially his mum. But
she's a big fan.
She's a big fan of the AWE podcast. You often see her in the comments. She's Fox April.
She's
that's actually.
Was that her?
Yeah, that's SK's mum.
She lives in Scotland.
Yeah. You didn't know, but she watches every week. But SK, young South Korean, now residing in Brisbane, and so we've got Jamie Barrett. So Jamie, who is off to Monster Factory very, very soon, competing there, I think in December, heading over to the big green shed, and so we and of course last year headed over to the US and had a very successful tour, and has come back and since taken up professional bodybuilding. No, he hasn't. He just looks like he has. Yeah, he's got fantastic genetics, hasn't he?
He's very lean. Absolutely.
He's very lean as a specimen. So, a huge work ethic and been putting in a lot of work on the table. So, obviously looking to test himself against SK before heading over to to America for the Monster Factory matchup.
Absolutely, that match will be lightning quick rounds. I think both guys are very, very explosive, and it'll all come down to the setup as to who gets the hand in the right position before the go is going to win the round.
Yeah,
They're both lightning quick, and it should be a good strategy to watch for people that are learning why the setup is so important. It's like, watch this match, and you will find out why. Because if somebody gets there instead of there, that might be the difference as to why they were able to win or not.
Yeah, and so and it's going to be really interesting because you're seeing Jamie now developing this international profile and reputation, and through having put in the hard work in the gym and then headed out and put his hard earned on the line and taken himself to America and putting himself on the table against some legendary names, and so you kind of wonder, well, what if SK does come through with the victory here? And what does that mean for, say, SK's prospects all of a sudden? Where does he now sit? What opportunities then present for him, both in Australia and overseas? So a great opportunity for SK to test himself against Jamie. Of course, Jamie competed in AWE 1, so you can head over and watch his matchup with Hamza Hodzic, because that was for the junior title, the AWE junior title. Both athletes, juniors at the time, were unable to compete in the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation's national championships because they chose to hold that in a venue that excluded minors. So they weren't able to test themselves. So after 2 years of COVID and not being able to compete, they still weren't able to compete as juniors, and so not allowed even in the venue to watch maybe their teammates or just arm wrestling in general. They would know. So we saw that as an opportunity to put that match on, and it was a great match, and didn't go the way that Ryan Bowen thought. Hamza having taken away the victory, Jamie's gone away and sharpened his sword and put in a few more reps in the gym, and he's back, and he's been putting in some pretty epic performances online. You can see he's been definitely working away at it. So super excited to see what this new version of Jamie Barrett brings, and really curious to see how SK is going to explode on the scene. Will it be that performance that shocks the world, and all of a sudden you start seeing SK start to pop up on some of these big cards around the world?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's no better way to make a name for yourself than to beat somebody who already has a name.
Yeah.
If people are following that person and then they're going to be watching their match, and then all of a sudden you beat them, that's the best way you can get people to start paying attention to you as well. So yeah, SK has all the balls in his court as to, well, here you go. Here's your opportunity to really take the ball and run with it. So we'll see how that plays out. But it should be a very, very exciting match.
Should be a very exciting match, and really looking forward to getting some of these athletes onto the podcast so you guys get to know them as well. We get to get some insights here on the AWE channel so that we can share them with you, and you understand exactly where the athletes are coming from, what the preparation's like, what the work is that they've been putting in advance of their AWE matchup. So really looking forward to getting to know these guys even more through that experience.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It's exciting, this underground thing, and I think we were talking about this yesterday off air about how we're going to formulate it and how it's all going to come together. But just the fact that we are not restricted by anything, not restricted by location or time or which athletes we want to use. We can go anywhere in the world at any time and film a match and then release it out on the AWE Underground. So
you could even go to like New Delhi, like in a whole different country.
Nah.
Yeah.
No one would do that.
No, it's crazy.
That's just silly.
It's crazy talk. And of course, we do want to thank Parvin and the Pro Puncher team for helping to facilitate so much of that and bring it all together, and to make the recommendations and to ensure that event's a huge success, and also in helping to promote that matchup as well. Obviously, they've got their superstar in Mazahir, so I do, and there's a lot to risk. I mean, for us, for instance, losing our intercontinental champion 2 seconds after he won the belt, that's a little bit tough, and so Pro Puncher have got their superstar, their megastar of their league, and yet they're willing to kind of work with us to maybe have that superstar beaten by Ryan Bowen. So that's a huge risk to an organization, and to see them not just like be permitting it and giving Mazahir a hall pass so he can do this. They're really supporting it, getting behind it, and lending their resources and advice as to how to make it a really successful show.
Absolutely, yeah. That's all the exciting thing about it is that the co-collaboration within arm wrestling promotions. It seems to be 90% of promotions worldwide are quite happy to work with each other and try to support each other. And
Sports.
but we're seeing that with Pro Punja, and it is well, it's a great opportunity again, as we were saying a second ago, for SK over Jamie Barrett. If Mazahir does get a victory over Ryan Bowen, that's a big name. That's a big name to take down from the. I know it's not the Western world; we're in the South, but the people who are the primary watchers apart from India, you've got North America and Europe, and Australia is definitely part of that. But Ryan Bowen is definitely a name in the arm wrestling world that most people who watch arm wrestling will know who that is. And if you manage to get a big win over him, it's going to raise your profile quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting. Well, Mazahir really has he's got that opportunity to beat Ryan, which will all of a sudden maybe pop him into that top echelon of names who are thought to be draw cards. So every promoter wants a big name on their card because it's what sells the tickets at the door, it's what gets the pay-per-view sales going, it's what gets the sponsors excited. When an athlete has a huge following, I don't think there's an athlete that's getting more views in the world right now than Mazahir Saidu. I mean, Devin Larratt, you say, oh, well, he's got more subscribers and all of that type of thing. But in terms of just sheer numbers being driven to content featuring them, Pro Punja do such a good job of that. I doubt that there's anybody being more viewed in the arm wrestling world right now than Mazahir Saidu.
Yeah.
So his influence might not be huge in the Western world, but it might be a victory over Ryan Bowen that all of a sudden brings him that fame and credibility amongst the rest of the world outside of India.
That's right.
And for Ryan, it's a real breakthrough moment where we're at that kind of precipice where, okay, well, at the moment there seems to be India ring fenced from the rest of the world in terms of arm wrestling. You've got Indian arm wrestling, and it's very insular. There's not a lot of outsiders coming in. You've got Ryan coming in, and if Ryan puts on a great show and a great performance and people in India love him, well, all of a sudden, maybe Ryan's just cracked the biggest market in the world for arm wrestling. And, you might say, well, China's almost got as many people, but they're not sporting mad like Indians are. Once Indians get it in their head that they like a sport, there's no holding them back. So we see that with everything. A very, very passionate sporting nation. The chances of China picking up arm wrestling as a bit of a national sport aren't that great. But interestingly, Punja is already a national sport. Arm wrestling is already a national sport in India. It's part of it. It's embedded in the culture. And so if Ryan's able to kind of crack that nut for Western arm wrestling in India and open that as a pathway for other athletes, he's doing arm wrestling a great service. He's providing pathways for athletes and gives greater opportunities for growth in the sport just generally. So this is a real watershed moment in arm wrestling that I think in 5 years' time we'll look back upon and say, yeah, but do you remember that all really began when Ryan and Matt Connolly went to India? Matt who? Connolly. He was the guy. He had the biceps.
Yeah, the thing. No, I don't know who you mean.
It
was a really bad arm wrestler. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that guy. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, the bad one. Absolutely. Yeah, well, no, you're right, and it is a very exciting moment. And I think one of the things that has really allowed arm wrestling to be so popular and grow so well over in India is the fact you don't really need anything. I mean, sure, we have tables and we do it, with the official rules, but you can use anything. You can lay on the ground and do it. Like you don't need to have anything, and away you go. And you can do it anytime, anywhere. It's like with anybody as well. It's like as long as you okay, put your arm there, try to get my arm there. That's literally what you're trying to do. Everyone understands it from a surface level. You don't need a basketball, you don't need a tennis racket, you don't need a golf club, you don't need a swimming pool. It's like, what do we need? You've got it already. It's these things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All you need is another person willing to hold hands with you.
That's right.
Yeah, and away you go. So
and then tie your hands together so they can't get away.
So all slips the strap. So I really like that about Arm Gods as well. By the way, all slips straight straps. Didn't matter where the slips came from. Thought they did a great job of keeping the whole show rolling on all night. That whole event was awesome. So congratulations to the Arm Gods team, to Paul and Marcus and all of the athletes that really, helped create that atmosphere, and to the audience, who were just who ended up being as much part of the entertainment as the athletes themselves. So absolutely fantastic event, and more to come. Of course, that extensive card, that 3-day long festival, that St. Patrick's Day festival, that Arm Gods are organising. That's the
James Wall Festival.
It's the James Wall Festival, and that's all gives everybody in the arm wrestling world something to look forward to next March. So big news there, and I'm sure even bigger news coming in the world of Ryan Bowen early next year as well. So lots of announcements, lots of very, very cool things on the horizon. So the Couch Apple has joined the chat. That's absolutely wonderful. That's the moment I wait for. Working now, Foxy. You might have seen it. Looks like the podcast time is completely different than it used to be. We're not particularly strict with it at Couch Apple. We don't have it on schedule. We just kind of do it when we can. But maybe we should be a little bit more disciplined and do it all at the same time every week.
But then you'd have to keep changing.
It's
very, let's just say our schedules are not easily set.
Can sometimes be a little bit difficult, Couch Apple.
But we do it every week regardless.
We do. We still turn up. That's absolutely correct.
That's right. I like this comment here from Fox 8 Ball that a wheelie bin is a decent height if you haven't got anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's got a little bit give to it too.
Yeah. I do like the fact, and I didn't know this until right now, that you guys also call it a wheelie bin.
What else would they call it?
That's really cool. It really is.
What would they call it?
For wheel. No, but I don't know. The Americans call it a trash can
or a dustbin.
Yeah, dustbin.
Dustbin's another.
The trash can. The trash. Take the trash out.
They don't have wheelie bins in America, though, do they?
No.
Did you ever see? I've never seen one on telly. It's always those old metal trash,
the garbage
like
can.
The Groucho, the
Oscar the Grouch
thing. The Grouch can. It seems to be the thing in America. Or they just chuck their stuff out on the. Like in the bags, they just leave it on the sidewalks, don't they?
Yeah. Is it sidewalk or footpath?
Well, I would say footpath, but we're talking about America, so I said sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool though, wheelie bin. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Fox Apple very well. So he's talking to Couch Apple there. Couch Apple has a comment here. AWE team, what if Pradeep suddenly popped up in November the 11th and started creating chaos by a couple of surprise pin afterfall with Powen? Hypothetically, well, he will be there. He does live in New Delhi. I believe he'll be on the scene. So that is a potential thing that could happen.
Could be a cameo.
Yeah, well, there'll definitely be. Hopefully, we'll get.
Doesn't mean Jake Ward won't be there.
That's right. That's the match that a lot of people seem to want to see is Pradeep and Jake Ward, but I don't know why. I think that they're just like, that's the one we want.
That's the one we want.
Yeah,
it's one you're never going to get, I suspect.
Probably.
Yeah,
but no, it's Pradeep does live in New Delhi, and
so might just drop by.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope he does, because there'll be nothing else bigger in the arm wrestling world happening than right there and then.
Maybe you could stay at his place.
Oh, I did think
I've seen his bed. It looks very comfy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it made up as a racing car?
That's half his podcast in his bedroom.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He just does his little update, little news things, and just pops up. And I don't know if he pops to his camera or it's just his laptop, but then he's just sitting at the end of his bed, just Yeah, like a bedtime story.
Cool.
Just letting us know about what's going on in the arm wrestling world.
There you go. Good on him.
Mm.
Fox Abel says, wear wheelie boots. That's another one of the really good jokes there. It's Fox April also says, Apple, I beat pretty with my wee toe. Yeah, we've got a very strong Indian arm wrestler at our club as well, and he's doing good things.
Ash
Sharma, yeah,
Ash Sharma.
or Goku as he likes to be called.
He does like it.
The swagger jacker, and the more he wins, the more of his bicep will get revealed throughout each match.
Yeah,
he does. He starts pulling it up. Okay, I'm ready now. Yeah. And I'm surprised the shirt doesn't completely come off by the end. But there we go. We've got Couch Apple says, Foxy, I laughed out. I laughed out when Derek Smith other day in his podcast stated that Pradeep do training at home wearing a girl's top. Okay, I didn't see that. Uses knicker elastic for tension bands. It's a good tip for you there if you haven't got.
If you're on a budget,
that's right. Yeah, your mum might hate that though if you're using all of her underwear.
Don't use mum's though.
Oh, well, you get your own.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You could just buy one of the stretchy bands.
So you could just ask around.
You can have your underwear for.
Got any old undies?
Yeah, for I need the elastic. I'm sure people would. Oh yeah.
What for? Not for doing this. What do you mean? But no, definitely not.
Want to work on the riser. Foxy, you have the capacity to wreak havoc against the master, Pradeep. I don't think I've seen Pradeep actually arm wrestle. Have you?
I don't even think he likes arm wrestling.
I think he hates it.
Yeah,
I think he hates everyone that watches it and has anything to do with it.
He has a lot of disdain. It's not just a hatred.
Spits down on it.
Yeah.
From his bed.
No, I don't think there's. Is there footage out there of Pradeep arm wrestling?
I haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it.
No. I do like the way he speaks, though. It is interesting. He has an interesting cadence to his rhythm of speech. It's different to everyone else.
Yes, yeah. I like it. He's very direct and he's just very blunt and very uncaring about how you may feel about whatever it is that he has to say. Yeah. It's like an auntie that's got no vested interest in your life. You're just happy to dispense advice and at any point. It's like that.
But he should put that as his description.
Well, you can work on that. So you can certainly have that.
Yeah, definitely. Fox April, I'd actually love a crack at Pradeep. Find out if he's strong or not. Well, yeah.
Well, Matt can find out for you.
Hopefully, if he's there, we'll be in India on the 11th of November.
And if he's very, very weak, he might still beat Matt. So we'll see.
It's not a good test, actually. Because even if I win, they'll be like, yeah, but it's you.
Yeah. I bumped into Matt Finocchi last night.
Oh, did you? Is he recovered yet from Sunday?
He recently been filmed resisting. So he was one of the top arm wrestlers in this part of the world for a little while there. Returned to the training table and he got a bit of a feel of some of your resistance there. Some of your endurance came to the fore.
Yeah, that's what I had to rely on because he kept beating me in the middle. He won the middle so easily. I was on my bicep, and that was the only thing I could do was just hold until I knew he was going to gas out because I can hold that spot forever.
That's the thing. If you got a thing, that's the thing.
That's it.
It's that last inch. You own that last inch.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know why it is, but it seems to be right here. It's unstoppable. And that's what happened. He got me to there and then no further and sort of stuck. And he tried maybe 7 surges against it and then changed to a press and then gassed out. And then I was able to. His arm sort of fell onto my pad.
Yeah, I think he even used the other hand to push it in that direction in the end as well. But you got some form coming into going to India. Maybe you can find some opponents yourself when you head over there. Maybe.
I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Would they have ever seen biceps like yours before?
They'll see them go this way very quickly. It'd be great if I was better. I don't know. It's one of those things where you love the sport, you feel good, you feel like you're progressing, and then it's like maybe these opportunities might pop up because you were doing the promotions and everything like that. It's like, oh, I could probably get myself on that year, and it's like, yeah, but you're not good enough.
We're just gonna find somebody as shit as you are.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're that person and you're watching this podcast right now, send us a little comment and let us know that you're out there. And if you're in India, in particular,
And you're
around the
a
11th, yeah. So AWE team is Bowen and MHM and other Aussie MHN.
Keep reading it, and I'll try to figure out.
Okay, and other Aussie lads are going to
Mazahir Sadu,
participate.
maybe?
No, as Bowen and MHM, Mataringi Hedamorris.
Oh, yes.
Okay, yep, fair enough. That's it. Actually, that's a good way of doing it.
MHM?
Yeah, I like it. And other Aussie lads are going to participate at Armed Gods Valhalla 3 in March next year to Ireland. As team perspective, what would be the futuristic morale in the camp?
I'm going to read that again, sorry.
Yeah.
AWE team, as Bowen and Mataringi Hedamorris and other Aussie lads are going to participate in Armed Gods in March next year in Ireland. As a team perspective, what would be the futuristic morale in the camp? Well, we don't all train together. I don't think we'd be seeing it as much of a that these guys are going to be training together, and that they're definitely probably going to know each other well and be supporting each other. But in terms of a morale of an actual team, I don't think they're seeing themselves as a team.
Yeah. I mean, you would have seen at AWE too, Lachlan Adair standing in Mataringi's corner, for instance, and so these have both been fierce competitors in this part of the world for a very long time. Been number 1, number 2 in Oceania for a long time, and but still, huge camaraderie. Even though they're competing from different countries, there's nonetheless there's a strong bond there. So I think you'll see naturally the athletes that are more familiar with each other, that are used to competing with each other, that are coming from the same promotion, perhaps feel like there's a strong connection. But I think when they get over there, they'll have their opponents very much in their mind's eye, and all of that will drop by the wayside as they see red as they walk into that room, as the smoke machine fills the air, and the music blares, and they step towards that Armed Gods table. I think we'll find that a lot of whatever thoughts of bond and camp and team will fade away very, very quickly. So, and Phil Woody has put into the chat the Armed Gods link. And of course, head over there, subscribe now, become members. It's not just events like Valhalla 3 that you will catch as being part of the Armed Gods world. Of course, you can get some awesome hints and tips from one of the greats of the sport, in Paul Maiden, and who's on there regularly posting new little videos. And you got yourself a little parcel there.
I do, yeah. This came in from one of our sponsors, from Barbell Foods. It's a big parcel, absolutely. I think they wanted to sort of say, well, thank you. And here's a bit of a sample of some of our products. And if you've got anything that I can open that with, do you have any keys in your pocket? I might actually.
Hang on.
I should have brought a knife in.
I
used to do this for a living.
I used to open boxes.
That's quite a sought after job.
Yeah. Well, people train for years. There's more. Hang on.
There's another box.
There's another box.
And inside of that is another box.
And there's another box. So there is another box.
There is. That's it. There you go. There's boxes and boxes.
It's like a Russian doll.
Wow.
It's like a Russian doll, and inside the boxes are more boxes.
Yeah.
So what do we got inside here, Matthew?
Well, we shall see. We've got.
Okay.
I believe that one states on the label there that's meat sticks.
Oh, and this is meat sticks, and so this is all part of it. Is this a gift from our friends at Armed Gods? Is that what you're saying it was?
From Armed Gods. It's from Barbell Foods.
Oh, from Barbell Foods.
That's right. The sponsor of the podcast that does the biltong.
Yeah. What else do they do?
They do all sorts of things, but they've got different flavors. And as I can see on this one here, it says this one is a mixed biltong. I know that you're a big fan of the chili one because that's what we had in here earlier.
I like them, but I also like the plain one. I've got the plain steaks at home, and they're fantastic. The more fat on them, the better as well. So they come in these little snack pack sachets, and so the biltong. So the difference. So for those that are wondering, and we've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but we understand that there might be some people that missed out on it. But the difference between biltong and beef jerky is that biltong is air dried, whereas beef jerky is oven dried. So it's basically just a little bit cooked, slow cooked, but nonetheless. Whereas this is air dried, and so what you do get is more moisture. You get I'm salivating at the thought of it, actually, especially when you get the little fatty bits. They're the best. They're my favorite. Look at this wonderful display that you've just put out there. So, and of course, you can get a whole range of flavors now. You can buy this in service stations, some service stations as you drive around. Our preference would be for you to hit them up on the website. And when you do, and you head over to barbellfoods.com, then you will find that if you enter the code word AWE or arm wrestle, you can do both, I think. Get a discount. That'll get you 10% off. And each and every time you do it, you're signaling to these guys that you're supporting AWE. And if we sell 7,000 tons of this, we'll get $13. We'll
get 13 cents.
As part of our affiliate program. It's a VIP program that we're on.
It comes in a gift card, though.
Yeah. But each and every time you head over there and enter that password or passcode for a discount, 10% discount, you're letting the guys know that you're watching the podcast, that you're big supporters of AWE, and that you love biltong. Did you want to give it a bit of a taste test on
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't want to try the chili one because I get flamed out by everything that's hot.
You do?
So the sea salt carnivore snack is the way that I'll go here. Would you like to try a piece?
Sure. Let's see what this is all about. So it's nice and
let's chew right into the microphone as well. I know people love that. I'll let you go first. And but there you go. The other flavors that we've got here. So we've got the chili one, we've got the original flavor, and we've got the sea salt one, which is one that I was really looking forward to. So
that's really yummy. That's delicious.
Have you tried the classic as well?
The I think I have tried the classic before. And I enjoyed it. It was great. It's just a little bit more. And then you got these little snacks that they've got here. That's a carnivore snack. We've got some of their. They've also got some products, little mini sticks. So wild kangaroo and beef brisket. So you got 100 grams of protein lovers there. So if the biltong's not your thing, but you like I guess you might say like a not a chili sticks. What would you call it? Like beer sticks.
Butt plug. Was that where you going?
That's right. If you like them, you're gonna love.
You'll love that.
Yeah. No, if you
like butt plugs, you'll love meat sticks.
Yeah. It's the next level. I haven't actually tried this, but it's does look.
They look good, don't they?
They look a little bit like dog food.
Does it? But it tastes good though. I'll go into your question in a second, Couch Apple. We're busy eating meat. What is this made of? Meat, kangaroo and brisket.
Okay. Beef brisket. Kind of tastes like a barbecue sausage.
It does.
It's quite mild. There's a little bit of zing.
Yeah.
With a bit more aromatic, bit of rosemary.
Oh, it's got chili on it as well.
Must have a little bit of something in there, I'd say. Yeah, look, that's nice, but that stuff's great.
That is awesome.
That is really good. That's my go-to 100%. If you just need a little healthy snack, and it's so easy just to go grab a Mars bar or something like that. You always feel a bit shit, a little bit guilty afterwards, but grab this stuff. Chances are you're going to end up with bigger biceps.
I think that's what it says on the packet.
I think it guarantees.
Guaranteed 200%.
Yeah, this is Barbell Foods guarantee as well.
Yeah.
Not something.
So come after them, not us.
Yeah, if it doesn't work for you, it's they're legally liable. So
I do like this question, and I do have an answer for this question here, Catch Apple. If you could bet on the future success of one current junior youth puller from the Oceanic region, other than Rhino or Bacho or Nifontev, who would it be and why? Hamza Hodzic is my number one pick for that every day of the week. Keeps getting
flash pinned you about 15 times on Sunday.
It was twice.
Okay.
But that's the only 2 times we had to go. unbelievably strong. Has AWE 1, he was able to dominate Jamie Barrett, and AWE 2 against Ethan Tunstall, he took a 4-0 win comfortably as well. I pulled against him on Sunday, and it was laughable. To Sledge, and he flash pin Sledge twice, and then he did the exact same thing to me, and it just felt like someone had my arm and they just went like that, and I could not do anything about it. Unbelievably strong young man, and we can't wait to get him a very big opportunity. So
yeah. Well, we've tried to match him up with a couple of big names who've shied away from Hamza, and I don't blame them either. He's going to embarrass almost any junior in the world, I'd say, right now.
I think I said this on the phone the other day, but like I felt like if I train hard enough, if I keep pushing, and because I feel like I'm making progress and getting better and stronger and those sorts of things. And when I slow pull with Hamza, there's moments where I can get positions and I can tire him out in spots and all that sort of thing. Maybe there's a go. Sunday, my illusion of that was shattered. It was just like, it was like go, and I'd lost. Like it was so quick that you couldn't. There was nothing you could learn from it. It was just like you lost. And you're like, I don't know what happened. And then we did it again, and because it's just practice, it was training or whatever. Like I loaded up with everything, and I had like full cup, and it's like you'd never be able to start like that. Yeah. And it was still like, okay, I'm tensed and I'm ready and I'm expecting a flash pin, and they're like, go, and he flash pin, and I'm like, that is crap.
And you've technically been training for 4 years longer than Hamza's been alive. Yes. Is that right? Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, it was all a waste.
Oh, I don't know what to do. It's one of those frustrating things where you almost feel like, man, is there even any point?
Just give up. I would. You know what though? If you go to India, I reckon you beat most people over there.
Okay.
Yeah,
hope so.
Yeah,
I'm going to try everyone that's there. Come and line up.
Yeah. I mean, up to 58 kilos.
That's what I meant as well.
Yeah. So lots going on. AWE. So let's just break this down one more time for the viewers. One, Barbell Foods. Head over there. Password AWE arm wrestle. Get yourself into it. Barbell Foods. They're the guys. Absolutely love them. This stuff, not so sure about. This stuff is an absolute winner. Mm-hmm. Get onto it. Number 2, Mazahir Saidu, Ryan Bowen, maybe will be the most match watched. Most match watched. It could be the most match watched.
Matchbox cars
in the bottom history. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But might be the most watched match.
Oh, it could be
in the history of arm
wrestling. It actually might be, which is freaking incredible.
It could be, or have the highest attendance maybe, because if it's a street in New Delhi, there's almost like 58,000 people in every street.
They're there right now.
Yeah, they're waiting. So it's going to be huge. So we've got that matchup that's coming. Second week of November to the world. So that'll be the 11th, Remembrance Day. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the biggest matchup, physically the biggest matchup in the world, taking place between Mataringi, the Beast, Heather Morris, former Intercontinental Champion, New Zealand bench press record holder, strongest man in New Zealand, undefeated in New Zealand for over a decade, against Marcus, the Tahitian Wrecking Ball Atirai, so who is on home turf, literally, and so it'll be very, very interesting matchup. Mataringi having to travel all the way from Auckland to make his way there for that matchup. Would the travel make a difference? Who knows? But you've got two athletes at over 170 kilos that'll be sitting either side of the table from each other. So this is going to be huge. One way or another, it's going to be a massive collision of two great young athletes. So, and of course, we've touched on Jamie Barrett and SK, which is going to answer some questions about where young SK is in the world as well.
Bowen Cantado and Ricky de Bowen.
Oh, this is something I wanted to talk about next week.
But we can do that. Let's do it next week.
All right. So that just it's a little bit of a taster for you. With the Axeman versus the Phenomenon. So that's something we'll talk about a little bit more with you in next week's AWE podcast. So Hollywood McConnelly, any final thoughts before we head away?
I think they need to see a double biceps before we go. Do you think?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Oh, there we we go. Oh, boom. Man, that's a screenshot for you. Set that as your desktop background.
There you go. You got it now.
One question I want to answer just quickly for
sure.
Fox 8 Ball here. He says, how hard are Aussie wasps? I'm walking here and one attacking my shoe like it's horny. Everything in Australia can kill you and will. So yeah,
it either wants everything and either wants to kill you or fuck you. So that's Australia,
or both.
Sometimes at the same time.
Absolutely, only if they match your meat. There you go. All right, so we're wrapping up. Any final thoughts, Dave Stockbridge?
My final thoughts are on biltong right now. Great biltong, awesome biltong.
Should have asked you before you put the food in your mouth.
Really,
that was the final thought right there. That little sound.
No. Super looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys on Indian soil, showing them how it's done. And taking arm wrestling to a whole new level and a whole new audience. Can't wait for that. It's more like a cultural exchange mission than it is anything else, I think. But that's going to be an awesome event, big event. And then, I can't wait for that second release. Those two massive young men across the table. That's just going to be a sight to see. Something on a scale of which won't be seen on an arm wrestling table in 2023. So that's going to be certainly worthwhile waiting out for. So we look forward to bringing you that in the next few weeks. And we want to thank everybody, all those people that jump into the chat, Couch Apple, Phil Woody, Fox 8 Ball, all of these guys that every week are here and tuning in. We love you. We thank you. Find a little comment there from Couch Apple. Outside arm wrestling as a hardcore fan for the sport of rugby. Feel Australian rugby can't afford any more waste of time on Eddie. Yep. Okay. We live in a non-rugby state, so we've got no idea what you're talking about. But
thank you for the comment.
But thank you for paying attention to Australian sports. Signing off, fellas. Good on you, mate. Keep up the great work. Loving the blogs, loving the insights. You keep that up, mate. And support AWA. Thank you, Phil Woody. We want to support Phil Woody. So
Phil Hollywoody.
Oh,
there you go.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you very much again to everybody who's tuned into the AWE podcast, and we look forward to bringing you more.